Sorry.
Excuse me.
Would you go turn the two outside lights the other way? Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, isn't this weather something? It's 30 degrees one day, and a day or two later, it's 60.
Yeah.
And no snow. What a wonderful time. Hey, you know what? I predict that spring is on its way, and you can mark it on your calendar. I'll put it right now, right here, right now. 20th or 21st of this month, spring will be here.
Wow.
There you go. Entertainer, we have an article actually on real close to the front, like page 5, got our ad, got an article by, Janice Lynch. Isn't that something? So, how fun is that? So, and you know, that's for our expo, which is coming up very quickly on the 12th and 13th of next month. So make sure you tell everybody, take coupons, well, they're actually just their little advertisements. Reminders, pass them out to everybody you know, take a flyer and post it somewhere, you know, walk around with it on your back or something. Social media is going to be big for us again this year. That's how we got the word out a lot last year. So evening news is where they begin with good evening and then proceed to tell you why it isn't. To steal ideas from one person is plagiarism. To steal from many is research.
Yeah. No doubt.
I don't know. Could be. Could be. All right. Things that make you go, You may be disappointed if you fail, but you are doomed if you don't try. So, probably true. Oh! Though by no means her only task, weaving, known as wiffen, was the principal occupation of Anglo-Saxon females. At that time, the general term for humankind was man, M-A-N-N. So, in order to distinguish between the sexes, the female was known as a wife man or weaving woman. Weaving human. In time, it became customary for a man to speak of the female with whom he lived and who did the weaving as his wif man. Alterations in spelling over a period of centuries have produced the word wife.
Wow.
Now you know where that term comes from. We did husband the other day, so, and if you don't remember, it's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. In fact, Stephanie was here this morning. I guess she was leaving, and I go, what's going on? She goes, well, I had to come in and do a bunch of stuff here, and she goes, I have to go to Chuck E. Cheese's. I guess the only thing worse than Chuck E. Cheese is Chuck E. Cheese before noon on Sunday.
Yeah.
So, okay, if the DNA in all of your cells were laid out in a single strand, it would stretch from the Earth to the Moon more than 246,000 times. That's a lot of DNA. Wow, just one person. Just one person. We do have a couple of patron saints of the Divine Fellowship, George Carlin and John Lennon. And if anybody wants to bring me more of this stuff in, you know, you're okay, because this is from 2011, so I just kind of keep going through it. So, but it lasts a number of weeks. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Should make a song out of that. It just sounds like good words for a song. And George, bless his soul, John Stew, inside every cynical person, there is a disappointed idealist. Maybe, maybe. Typewriter is the longest word that can be made using the letters only on one row of the keyboard. Yeah, now everybody's like, oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can do this. I can do this. Ooh, what am I doing? Ooh. Okay, 6-year-old Angie and her 4-year-old brother Joel were sitting together in church. Joel giggled, sang, and talked out loud. Finally, his big sister had had enough. You're not supposed to talk out loud in the church. Why? Who's going to stop me? Joel asked. Angie pointed to the back of the church and said, see those men standing at the door? They're hushers. Okay, more bad cat jokes. What is a cat's favorite car? Cadillac. Jaguar would have been good, though. Jaguar would have been good, yeah. What kind of cat will keep your grass short?
Crab grass.
A lawn meower. I told you, these are really bad. These are bad. Why did the judge dismiss the entire jury made up of cats? Oh, I'm sorry, because each of them was guilty of perjury. Wow. Man, those are bad. Okay. Gray Poupon and Docker pants are expected to become Poupon pants. Knott's Berry Farm and the National Organization of Women will become Not Now. There's mergers. They're mergers. That's what that's all about. Hey, Joe, you want to talk about the expo?
Save us, Joe.
Well, I'm not Joe, but I'll talk about my half first again. Again, silent auction material, we're going to need some donations. I started to put together a sample, but didn't quite get it done before this morning. My procrastination. Anyway, I'm going to put it together, bring it in, give you guys some ideas of what you can do. Basically, I found all this stuff around my house, but it's very nice, and it all pertains to what we're all about, the holistic part of it, the healing part of it. And so I'll have that sample for you next week. It'll give you kind of an idea, but we really need to start getting some of these things brought in. It's getting shorter and shorter for time. So between the next few Sundays, we need to gather as much material as we can. Last year on the silent auction, we made over $1,000. So we want to try to double that, or that's the big dream, double it. But we want to make at least that much or more. That was really a good success last year. So let's see what we can bring in. Again, it's like putting together holistic stuff, crystals, books, sayings, whatever you've got that you can bring in that'll give us a good go on it. There's Joe.
That's what's out.
Oh, that's yeah.
We're passing out the volunteer boards. If you've already got your name on there, don't put it on there again. But if you want to volunteer, feel free to sign up. Yeah. One's for healing and the other one's for just volunteers. And the meeting that I was having today is canceled because we're going to do a cookie Sunday next Sunday. And so if you want to bring in some cookies, bring in some cookies. And then we'll have a short meeting on the volunteers. So, Cookie Sunday. Thank you. Oh, and I'll also be calling people that are on the list. I'll be calling them this week.
And if you're not on the list, I'll call you twice.
Check your color.
All right, anything else I'm missing? Oh, anybody that comes in like an hour late, let's make fun of them.
Okay.
No? Why not? Okay, well, I'll probably be in the back. I'll do it for everybody. Sarah, the church gossip and self-appointed arbiter of the church's morals, kept sticking her nose into other people's business. Several residents were unappreciative of her activities, but feared her enough to maintain their silence. She made a mistake, however, when she accused George, a new member, of being an alcoholic after she saw his pickup parked in front of the town's only bar one afternoon. She commented to George and others that everyone seeing there would not know what he was doing. George, a man of few words apparently, stared at her for a moment, shook his head ruefully, and just walked away. He didn't explain, defend, or deny. He said nothing. Later that evening, George quietly parked his pickup in front of Sarah's house and left it there all night. Man, a few words. Man, a few words. Yeah, that too. Cool. I must be getting the hang of this. No longer have to make, gestures to make it work. So, hey, let's sing a song. Hey, you know what? Let's do Down to the River and Pray. I actually remember what it was. You know, an old standard. Wow. That song.
I wanted to come to the altar.
Get saved. Hallelujah. I'd like to sing that song for baptism. And we're hoping to have a baptism here before long. So, baptism at the Divine Fellowship doesn't baptize you into the Divine Fellowship. If you want to be in the Divine Fellowship, you can be in the Divine Fellowship. We don't have rules like that. Baptism is a sacred ceremony that puts you on your sacred path or sanctifies you for your sacred path. And if that's something that you're interested in talking about doing, you have an opportunity to make your own statement of faith. Nobody's going to tell you what to believe or how you should believe. It's very personal. I think so far we have 5 people that are considering doing that sacred ceremony. So if you have an interest in that, let me know. No, we don't go down in the river. I've done a baptism in the Columbia River, and even in the hottest summer, it's cold. So we're looking to find a hotel with a really nice hot tub, because why should we be in misery, right? Yay. We can go down to the river to pray, and we'll go in the hot tub to be baptized. That works for me. Well, today ought to be interesting. When I prepare for services, you know, I pray about it and ask for guidance, what would be good for us to talk about. And then I wait. Sometimes I wait a long time. Sometimes I wait till just before service starts. Sometimes I get it right away, get all prepared, and get to service and it goes, and something new comes through. This time was different. This time I prayed about it, and I saw this like fast forward through a movie. It was like, okay, I think I got it. Want to run that by me again? Run it past me again. Okay, so I've got kind of a general gist. Other than that, I don't know. And I think part of why that happens is because the people who are going to be here changes. And sometimes by me pondering on a thought or a message and holding sacred ground, that people shift. So when Sunday comes along, we don't need that anymore. They've already shifted. So something new will come up. So if you're here today, it's because energetically the call was sent out and reflected back. So that your energy is who's being addressed today. Now there's some tried and true people. They're going to be here no matter what's coming up. Thank God, because they're the anchor to my soul. It gets lonely without that. At the same time, those people know people, and they're already an influence on others. So even if you're here just because this is what you do, you're called here for a reason. And I don't even know what that is yet. So, you know, we're going to have this path of self-discovery together today. I sent out the little email. And if you don't get those, by the way, let me know. We can put you on the email list. You're not used for anything else. It's just, what, dear? Oh, have you noticed that I changed the emails? You like them? I send one out every week. Check your email. If you're not receiving one, either it's going into your junk mail or I don't have a correct address. So make sure you give me your first name, last name, and your email, and I can get that to you. Okay, so what I said in the email was that we're going to talk about unlocking fear today. Because fear is a prison that we chain ourselves to. And there's all kinds of fears. I don't know about you, but dental work is really high on my list. You leased it, yeah, good for you. Well, we all have different fears, and different fears hang us up. So, whether it's your fear or not, tell me a fear and pass it on. What's a fear that could hang people up? You don't have to claim it as your own, just
I'm trying to think of which one I want to use.
we could take a litany.
What'd you say? Okay, I don't know, financial fears.
Being accepted.
Public speaking.
I know that one.
Height.
Is that what?
Height.
Heights. Okay.
Rejection. Heights.
Look at me. What? You're afraid of heights? Yes.
Lows.
Spiders.
Can I talk about that real fast? Here's the deal. Here's this thing this big. And you know, you've seen them this big. They feel this big. They feel it. I don't know. It's a visceral human thing, especially for girls. Phil, there's a spider in the tub. Killing it with extreme prejudice. And you know, spiders, if they're outside, you know, you can go on outside and live, that's fine. Be good out there, because you have a wonderful place to play and a wonderful role to play. You come into my house, you're dead. End of story. Sorry, go ahead.
Snakes.
Acceptability.
The unknown.
Good.
Closed spaces.
Failing.
Again, so many. Succeeding too much.
Succeeding too much, if you didn't hear that.
Mine was the unknown too.
Change.
It's a big one.
Running out of things to fear.
Uncertainty.
Illness of mental illness and physical illness of our children. Illness.
Success.
Pain.
Loss.
Demons.
Demons.
Negativity of others.
Closed spaces.
Fear of facing the true person that we are.
Running out of time.
Giving myself permission.
New things.
Receiving approval.
Going down in an airplane, and I just keep thinking of that Malaysian plane and all the people suffering.
Spiders.
Whales.
The dark.
Say again?
The dark.
The dark.
Health.
Failure.
Sudden noises.
Loss of loved ones.
Injuries and accidents.
Microphones.
I'm not buying that one. I'm not buying that one.
Flying.
Being caught in a lie, that's probably true.
Snakes.
Burning.
Inability to help others.
I was going to say spiders, but it's one of my totem animals, so I can't say that anymore. I think rejection.
Failure.
Water.
We're assuming excess water.
I want to go with spiders too.
I'm going to go with rejection.
All of the above.
Thank you for that. So, oh gosh, this is going to take a different turn than I was expecting. Don't you love it? Don't you love it? So how many of those things we all seem to have in common? There's a lot of commonality in the things that we're afraid of. And how many of those things are things that we have no control over? Now, if a spider comes in my house, I have control over that because I can call Phil and he'll take care of that for me.
Can we call him?
You can. His phone number is. I didn't tell you my fear. You know my biggest fear is? It is.
Sunday
My biggest fear is a combination of rejection, not being good enough, not having wisdom, not being able to communicate clearly, and the fear of failure, fear of not being what you need me to be. So every Sunday morning, I have this dialogue inside myself. And it sounds kind of like, you can do this. I've done it before. Your ears haven't fallen off yet. You're good. You're good. Just don't worry about it. Trust. Because the part of us that overcomes fear is the part of us that is linked to the divine. And the part of us that trusts that divine source. The human nature, we are naturally programmed to fear. Primitive human beings stayed alive because they could be afraid, and that fear drove them away from a dangerous situation. Unfortunately, we as human beings now are less primitive, so we say, even though there's still slavery and abuse and all that horrible things in the world because we are human. We translate this terror into stress. So instead of a saber-toothed tiger coming at us, we have a document that has to be typed in 10 minutes. And we apply the same fear energy to that we do to a life-threatening situation, and our stress levels are through the roof. And even though we may fear something outside of ourselves, or fear the rejection, or feel that we're not good enough, the really big thing that filters through all of it is that we fear rather than trust spirit, divine source, whatever that is for you. And part of that is our upbringing. You know, you fear God. Well, the word fear, as it's translated fear, isn't the word that means terror. It's a word that means respect plus awe. I can have terror over electricity that would keep me from turning on the light switch. But I have respect for it. I have awe for it. Look what it can do. I have awe when a storm blows through. But I don't run out and stand in it and say, hit me with lightning. Let me stand out here in front of all these trees. Take that lightning bolt. I respect that there could be danger there. But we forget that divine source is not just a divine source for everything. There's also this delightful being that we're a part of that loves us and wants us to be happy, wants us to be joy-filled, wants us to be fulfilled. But we get caught up in that fear cycle. It's human nature. It takes divine nature to step out of that fear-filled space and move into another state of being. And the state of being that I'm asking you to think about or ponder or consider is moving into a state of being where it's all okay. But it's not all okay. I could fail. And what if you do? I have this wonderful little storybook. I thought about bringing it, and I thought, what do I want to bring this book for? See, I don't always listen. We don't always listen. But it's called What If? It's like, well, what if this terrible thing happens? What if it doesn't? What if I make a fool of myself? What if you don't? What if I get hurt? What if you don't? It's that fear that keeps us bound and enslaved to minimalizing ourselves and not really reflecting the divine nature that we truly, truly are. One person said they're afraid of, expressed a fear of expressing who they really are. Because we're too busy being afraid that the human side is going to leak out. So what if it does? My goal is to be the perfect, wonderful example of human being to you, so I can make mistakes and screw up and say bad words and apologize and get on with it. Because what we are is beyond the physical form. It's beyond this human nature. We are of divine nature as well. And we are in this state of love. Where there is this love, there is this desire to make it better, to make the world a better place, to be a better person. And when we're tapped into that, there's no fear. When the prayer hits my heart and says, oh, I've got a message to deliver, because there's someone that is hurting or someone that could really use this information, fear just goes out the way. When we're walking our path, walking our purpose, doing what we came here to do, fear has no place. It just doesn't have a foothold. It's always there going, and we can choose to listen to it or choose not. And some days the fear wins. Most days it doesn't. Some days it does. And you can tell when fear does, because you're either playing a video game or watching TV, or what are those other things that we escape with. But when we can let that stuff go and stand in who we really are, and we're on our path, doing what we came here to do, there is no fear. Fear just doesn't even get a grip on it. Are you afraid of having a relationship? Well, what if your destiny is to just be who you really are and allow other people to accept you just as you are? Wow. All of a sudden, there's not so much fear. Because we can't control what other people think. We can't control what other people feel. Trust. It's all about trust. But if we don't trust the person in here, and if we don't trust divine source, we don't trust that spiritual aspect, then fear gets a foothold. Fear gets a foothold. So the real issue here is, what's your destiny? Because when you're in your destiny, fear can't reach you. Because if you're in your destiny, even a spider will have spiritual significance to you, huh, Lynn? The energy of the spider is wonderful because they can just weave something beautiful and wait for the good things to come. And they can still creep us out, but we can still have acceptance of who they are as long as they're outside. Phil. So what's your purpose? What'd you come here to do? Got a couple of things on Vero I just want to share with you real quick. Not that one. What the wicked fears will come upon him, and the desire of the righteous will be granted. So we can have a righteous desire, or we can have a fear. It's all about choice. We can stay frozen in a fear. We can choose to follow the desires of our heart. Fear takes its basis up here in the old noodle head. Because the noodle head decides to judge things. This is fearful, this is not. This is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. And the heart just sits in the truth. It goes, purrs right along, hums right along, and when the truth is there, it moves forward into it. When it's not true, it backs itself up. So when you're humming along, then that which you fear, if you lock onto that, that which you fear will appear. That which we resist will persist. But when we're doing the deal, whatever the deal might be, all that stuff goes away. Now here's the deal. You don't have to know what your deal is. How cool is that? Thank goodness. You don't have to know what your deal is. What you get to do is follow your heart. Now the head is here for having data, details. If your heart is locked and loaded in, okay, I came here to do blah, 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 and you will know what it is because it feels right to you. And you know, it doesn't have to be a thing. I came here to start a church. Oh, heck no. I just had a belief that there ought to be a better way. That going to church should be fun. That church should be able to hold on to the spiritual aspects of healing and talking to dead people and divination. And why couldn't they go coincide? Why couldn't they go hand in hand? Well, I could. Well, let's just check it out. Let's see if anybody else feels the same way. Here you are. You'll usually find what your heart is all about, because that's what gets you riled up the most. Shouldn't be that way. Because you came to fix it. You came to change it. You came to change you. And when we change the person we are, the world changes around us. Just does. Just does. So if suffering is really a big fear for you, whether your own suffering or suffering of somebody else, came to be a healer. Ha-ha. How cool is that? And you don't have to know much about it. Just know that that's what you are. And you can heal in lots of different ways. You can be a healer by just smiling at someone. Pat on the arm. Kind word to a cashier. Those kinds of things are healing. And we can never judge them. Because you don't know but what your kindness changed somebody's life. Think back in your life. I bet there was somebody who said or did something that totally flipped your life around. True? You may or may not have ever had a chance to even thank them or tell them about it. But you're different. And who's to say, but that's not what you do every day of your life? With a kindness, a kind word, a smile, a healing thought to someone. And if there's some specific ways in which that can be advanced or focused, oh my gosh, that's even better. How cool is that? How cool is that? So follow your heart. Your heart will know what it doesn't like. It says, I get all backed up about this. Because you're all about its opposite. So instead of looking at all you're backed up about, look at the opposite and go that direction. When the body, it's like, have I ever showed you how to find your truth? Oh, I have. I haven't. I have some. Okay, here's the deal. If you put your hands on your tummy, feet shoulder length apart, you want to stand up and do this with me? Oh, this is weird. Oh, why not? When you're in your truth, your body will naturally go towards the forward because it's ready to move. It's ready to lean into that truth. It's a natural phenomenon. And if it's something that you don't believe, your body's going to back up about it. All right. So I want you to say your name out loud. Just say your name out loud. And do you feel yourself move forward? Now say, my name is Fred. My name is Fred. So you feel yourself back up?
Didn't we have any Fred?
No Freds today. All right, now say your name again because we want to be back in a positive state of being. Say your name again. You feel yourself move forward? Okay, have a seat. Now, is that cool or what? And here's the deal. You know, some people say, oh, your angels are pushing you forward. Yeah, maybe. Your body sometimes will know the truth because the body isn't always connected to the noodle head. The body's connected to the heart space. So if you want to know what you're all about, ask yourself. But ask yourself questions that lead you into your truth rather than getting you all backed up. Because sometimes we want to ask facts and figures and that sort of thing. But this is one theory or one process by which you can find your truth. Am I a healer? Oh, no, it's not for me. Okay. Maybe you came here just to speak your truth, whatever that might be. Maybe you came here just to walk a sacred path and hold sacred space for somebody who's suffering. Does it really annoy you when people get stuck? Then maybe your task is to help people just to hold sacred space so they can move forward. Because being stuck is not a bad thing. Being stuck is this wonderful, miserable, horrible, terrible point of, I can't do that anymore, but I don't know what it is that I'm supposed to do. That's what stuck is all. So when we can be in a place where we're ready to move forward, the body will know. Body knows the truth of it. Brain doesn't know anything. Almost said a bad word. But it doesn't. I mean, it knows facts. But it's our perceptions that put those facts into judgment. But you know what? My perception gets screwed up. How many people wear glasses? There's a few people wear glasses in here. What we think we see when we're not wearing our glasses is very different than what's reality out there. What's the real thing? Same thing happens with our perceptions. If I perceive that no one is gonna like me, what do I see? Nobody's gonna like me. If I perceive that I'm not good enough, cat toy, squeaky, squeaky, squeaky. If I perceive that I'm not good enough, then I'm going to set myself up for failure. Those that are afraid of failure, you're probably stretching too far. Or you're stretching in a direction you don't really want to go, and you're going to fail. Yeah, you will. Because there's no failure when you're on your right path. You can't fail. You can't fail. What you can do is learn a lesson and go, oh, well, that's not the easiest way to do that. Because sometimes what we view as failure is just the learning process. If I were to pick up a musical instrument and take a lesson, I would probably be terrible at it at first. Does that mean I am a horrible musician? No, it means I'm learning. We get the learning process mixed up with failure. The learning process says, I'm not perfect at that. Oh, there it is. There it is. Perfection. We think we need to be perfect. Well, a good book says, be perfect as the Lord is perfect. But what that means is, be perfect in love. God is love, and perfect love casts out fear. Can I tell you that one? Can I share that one with you? That's in John. 1 John, actually. 1 John 4. The one who does not love does not know God, for God is love. That's verse 8. In verse 18, there is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear, because fear involves punishment. And the one who fears is not perfected in love. So perfect is only as it relates to love. And if we're doing something out of love, I can totally screw it up and know that people love me anyway, because I'm doing it out of love. So there's no failure there. You can't fail. What we can fail at is letting that noodlehead run away with us and judging us as not good enough. So when my noodlehead gets going about, oh, you don't have anything important to say. What do you think you're doing? Why are you trying that? That's just stupid. Nobody likes you. I have to tell it to shut the HE double hockey sticks up. And the only way to do that is to get into that loving place and go, it ain't me. You're right. I'm a screw up. I'm not perfect. But I can do what I can do out of love. And that gets to be enough. That gets to be enough. So let's do a guided meditation, shall we?